Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for our next session, Spark It Up from Napkin Sketch to Working App. My name is Anna. I'll be your producer for this session. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenter to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our speaker for today. Ari, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Anna. I appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. My name's Ari Lavigny. You can find me on GitHub with just my name, Ari Lavigny, or on some of the socials using Continuous Geek as well. I'm so happy you're here today. I love GitHub Spark, and I'm really excited to get into the overview of it, what it offers us. I think the coolest part of this is that there's no code required. So for our non-technical folks out there, our product managers, our designers, GitHub Spark really meets you where you're at. I think it's an amazing tool to use. By the way, I am a senior learning advocate with GitHub. I've been here for over 3 years, and I'm just always excited about the new technology and the Copilot AI features that we keep adding to our products across the board. And so with that, let's get into some of the specifics. I'm going to share with you, I think Anna already might have shared it, but just in case, I will share it again, a link to kind of where you can get for the overview. Failed to post. Awesome. There we go. Yep. Thank you so much. So as you can see, we have the link here to kind of an overview. It's just a gist that I wrote. It has both the overview. I'm going to talk about GitHub Spark, get through some of just the what's capable now with using it. What are the limitations? We are in public preview as of today, had been for a while actually, but we are still in public preview. I want to mention that. To talk about what it really is kind of a development and deployment platform. So it can turn your natural language, your prompts into real applications, and that you a full stack application that is running and published that you can share with your organization or your teammates. That's a new feature that was added not too long ago, of adding the ability to share it with an organization only and not every GitHub user. And really some of the I think that the key thing is here, right? It's really a faster way for production to make sure what is conceived as a product or an application is aligned with what product management wants and leadership, as well as what developers are doing to help create that app. And I'll say also that some of the advantage of using this is that you can accelerate the builder productivity. So it takes that natural language, creates that full stack app in minutes, which you're going to see when we go through this demo, this workshop. And it validates your ideas. And I think the coolest part is, right, you're iterating on that. So you can provide in a prompt a lot of context, and the more context I would say is better, especially since we're using Claude Sonnet 4.5 as a default. As capacity fills up, because a lot of people are using Spark, it falls back to that Sonnet 4. I know some folks may say, well, why aren't we using Opus? It just was released and Copilot is using that. And I think that's a great question. What we're doing now is kind of preliminary and it's in public preview. It's not to say we will stay with Sonnet 4.5. We will eventually move to newer models as time goes on. But I think with Sonnet 4.5 and the context that you can provide, you really can create a robust application, and then you can iterate as well. Securing the supply chain. So since we're running this on Azure as apps, it's very secure. It's enterprise grade runtime, authentication. To get into the app, you just need a GitHub account. and to use Spark, you need a GitHub account as well. You'll need a Copilot, and I'll get into the licensing too. There's a lot of links in there in this README that you can just go through and check later on the plans and the premium request units, which I'll talk about. But you can also broaden who builds these apps. So not just developers now can create applications or create a design that they feel, and that's why we kind of say, like, you're taking the back of a napkin of an idea you sketched out and bringing it to life here, right, in GitHub Spark, which I think is pretty amazing. A lot of the coolest thing, and I think it goes missed sometimes, and I was talking to actually the product manager of GitHub Spark today, is that it doesn't just create your app with all the beautiful code and visuals and design, but it also creates a product requirements document, a PRD, and this is created for you. You can iterate on that. So as you make changes to your app, that PRD also gets updated. And that's something that can be shared with developers, marketing, other facets and components of your organization that are bringing this application to market. And it's served as kind of a blueprint for your product, ensuring that all the stakeholders are aligned and they have all the information that they need to know. And as we're going to talk about in session number 2, this is session 1 where we're kind of taking it from the persona of a product manager. In session 2, we're going to take that idea that product manager came up with and how a developer would then take that and may iterate on that. And really it comes back full circle when that developer maybe has made some updates or changes, maybe changed the stack of what wants to be used for the app. They can then have that conversation again with their product manager. Their product manager can approve of those changes, can iterate themselves back, and they can work in that fashion. And we're going to get into that when we get into the workshop. So we'll get into some of the requirements. As I mentioned, you do need a Pro Plus or Enterprise license. I have a nice link in here to the plans too. I have them up here. These are the current, here's the current plans that are available. And you can look through too to see what feature of Copilot. And in the case of Spark, we have to have a Pro, inline suggestions, customizations, other features. Here's Spark. So we need a Copilot Pro and Copilot Enterprise. It also does apply to EMUs as well. I could foresee in the future that it may expand to other license plans as well. But right now, that's the support that we have for GitHub Spark. And then there's this concept of premium requests, because we are using a very complex model such as Claude 4.5 or 4. So, these features use what's called premium requests. And there's a link to more information about billing for Spark and app creation. So each prompt consumes 4 premium requests, which draw from plan's premium request allowances. If you have enabled premium request over your plan's allowance, additional premium requests beyond your plan's include amount are billed. And this is kind of the rough, not rough, but these are the costs per request. And if it uses usually like 4 requests per prompt, so there you kind of see the total that you'd be spending. Thanks for putting that in there for the next session. For all the sessions there. Resource delivered. Yeah, cool. If you guys ask questions too, as I go, I'll try to answer them as we're going through this. The other thing that I'm going to talk about at the very end, but I'll bring it up now, is we also have a really nice GitHub skills exercise that one of my teammates developed. It's all self-paced, and it's in the README here. It's basically idea to Spark. So if you have a Copilot Pro, a Copilot Enterprise license, you can walk through this exercise. And we have a couple of example prompts that you can use and walk through. And the self-paced, there's a action running in the background that will step you through each activity. So it will be as you go and you make progress through that exercise, you'll get what the next step in activity will be as you go. Cool. So before I get into the app overview, I think that covered everything. Are any questions about that I can answer right now? Feel free to ask them in the chat about Spark itself, and hopefully I can answer those. As I said, we are using, this is the model. You can also, I'll show you in the selector that you can fall back yourself if you wanted to use Sonnet 4, but I know myself, I also have access to the premium requests and to the licensing. So I try to use Sonnet 4.5 by default, and that is the default model that you'll see in the UI. So what I developed here, or not developed, I wrote a natural language, a really robust prompt of an application that I want to create, and I want to give credit to the pro. So I want to bring up something to. We did this actually as a GitHub. We did a GitHub Spark challenge at GitHub Universe on day 3 at headquarters. We did one developing a Git visualizer, and we had some winners. It was a great event. And actually, there's a I'll put this in the I'll paste this in there's a I wrote a blog about it. It was really a great event. I think competition brings out the best in everyone, of like trying to just create the best apps. And I'll put this in the chat here. I don't know if that'll come through. Let me see. Hopefully, Anna, you can share that link for that. But what we did is we gave people 60 minutes to create their own app. Unfortunately, in the afternoon, we ran out of time and we did not get to do this workout tracker app that we wanted to build or have folks do in a challenge. And I did have it set up to go. And we actually had someone that went in after on his own, and he did a great job. Andre Fontoura, he did a great job of creating this. So I will say I borrowed a lot of what he had here in the description. I made some tweaks, and I'm also going to show in creating this app some differences that I decided to do, and just difference of, preferences that I wanted to see in the app that I'm creating. But I was just impressed that we gave folks very little information of kind of what this app had to do, and kind of example ideas on some like app, visuals of this workout app. And what Andre did, which was awesome, is he not only took what we gave him, but he kind of came up with his own idea, really created a robust prompt. And I can't emphasize this enough, but context is so important, especially with some of these more complex models, these large language models that really can think and do some deep research and create something pretty extraordinary. The more context you give it, the better. And he created this long list of items that he wanted the app to have. So I actually borrowed a lot of that myself. In fact, most of it does look the same. But I wanted to give him credit because he did a really good job. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to kind of have that challenge in the afternoon. We ran out of time, but I know we're going to do that event next year. So if you're going to GitHub Universe next year, keep your eyes open for a day 3 where we'll do something similar, where we'll probably have another app challenge, or maybe a challenge using some other piece of Copilot or AI on the GitHub platform. I don't know exactly what it will be, since I don't know what we'll be creating next year. We'll probably be onto other things that are even more exciting and interesting, and making our lives much easier to create software, and helping us with the software development lifecycle as well. So just to talk about this before I kind of copy and paste, you could also just reference the file itself. I tried doing that. I did not like my results with Spark, so I honestly just decided to take all of the natural language that's called out in this prompt, and then just copy and paste it. And then I also added something, which I'll show. I added an image, which you can do as part of Spark. So we want AI personal coaches. That was something that Andre came up with. And what I love is, right, like I wanted to show what Andre did, because this is someone that never used Spark before. And he came into it and developed this prompt, wrote it out, and just did a fantastic job of really leveraging what Spark is designed to be used for. I didn't want to kind of just come from me, because I've been using Spark for a while now. So I really wanted to take what he did, and I kind of just made my own little tweaks. Like I kind of changed the avatars here a bit to use the actual Mona, Octocat, Copilot, and Ducky as well. Comprehensive user profiles, uh, multi-board. This is all of his kind of design that he wanted to see in his app, personalized workouts, some adaptive features. And I think the creativity here is really seen too in the way that he designed his AI coaches, which I thought was so cool. That like here, like Ducky is that beginner friendly, that friendly coach. Mona's more motivational, and then really you get to Copilot, who's more of this technical type of coach, and really kind of meeting those people of what kind of how they work out. They're just starting out and they want something very basic? Do they want someone that's more motivational? Or maybe they just really want to get down to business. They know what they want to do and they want a technical coach to guide them. So I thought that was really cool on how he came up with that. And again, I wanted to give him credit, because I think he did a great job on designing this prompt and giving the context to Spark that is necessary. So I'm gonna copy this. And again, if you go to that link that was given at the beginning of this session, you can get access to all this. This is publicly available. This gist with all the information, the overview. I will also keep this up to date as time goes on. So as changes are made to Spark, I'm going to keep this updated, as well as I'll be adding content for session number 2 next week, where it's more developer pro dev focused on that developer taking that app over from the product manager and what that may look like. So that'll be interesting as we get into that. So with that said, took me a while to get here, but let's talk about Spark. And you can just go to github.com/Spark if you have access with one of those licenses. You will need to, something that may pop up for you, and I wanted to note that in your Copilot settings for your account, you'll need to assign basically what organization, or I should say what enterprise this would be assigned to. And obviously I have some available to me since I am in GitHub, but this is what I assigned it to. So that may pop up and it will take you to a link to this setting. So I just wanted to show that as well. So now I'm going to just copy and paste. Again, you could have put a link in here as well. And it's going to basically use React and TypeScript by default. Those are the languages and the stack that's being used here. Again, that could change as maybe developer takes over and may want to tweak some of that, or maybe change versions of that stack. Maybe use a different database on the background and the back end. Who knows? But I'm going to copy and paste that, just the markdown that I had in there. I'm also going to add an image similar to what I had in the challenge itself. And I'm going to add a little bit more here. I'm going to say use the attached image as a reference for muscle groups and descriptions. Just as an added part to the prompt, I wanted to add this as I'm kind of doing it with you folks. The other thing in the interface here, it has some suggestions of things you could create. Here's some examples of my own. I created actually a while ago. I just recently updated it, but an OctoFit tracker app that I had created actually from using a real application I developed and just using Spark to create the same thing to see what the differences would be. I created a football stat tracker app. This is actually a side project that I'm doing. I also coach lacrosse on the side, and I wanted a way to track all of my player stats from every game, print out reports at the end. And I was able to give that information in a long prompt, which you could also get in the GitHub skills exercise. That prompt is actually what we use to create this app here. Again, AI is generative. So the app that Andre created for a workout app, or the one that I created before, may be different than what we're going to create now. And we're going to see what that comes out to be. So I'm going to hit play and start the app creation process. We have a good 40 minutes. So this will go off and create this app for me. As I'm doing this, I can kind of pop around into different areas. This is kind of will be what the app will look like. There's another cool thing that actually my teammates showed me. I didn't know this existed, but if you kind of scroll your mouse around, the sparkles are all, a little game that you can play while it's creating it. Kind of cool little trick there. But then also we're going to get into the code here in this section. And you can see here, right? It's telling us it's going to create this PRD for us, that design document that we can then iterate and use. We can share with our teammates of different facets, developers, marketers, designers. Maybe they want to design things in a certain way. And we can see too by sorry about that. We can see too by this that it's generating. We can subsequently, if this is stopped, we could add other files and images here. We don't really have a theme filled in yet. We'll see what the theme is. You could also preset a theme too, if you wanted to. We'll talk about that in the UI part. You can kind of look at different fields. We can add this to iterate, view, and edit the prompts powering these features. We can look at what the app might look like. Obviously, we're just iterating now, so we're just building it. But you could look at what it might look. It's unavailable now since we're just starting out building this. But after we get to the first iteration, oh, that's interesting. Let's hope that. Oh, we're back. But once it is available, you'd be able to see a mobile version of this. You can do refreshes. We'll be able to publish this. The cool thing here too is what we're going to hand off for session 2 is having a developer put this in a repository where developers, or a code space where they can iterate on it. That keeps closing just because we're still iterating here. But it gives you an idea of a nice little simple interface where, using a prompt, in this case, I had this markdown file that I used that gave me this. I created this Elevate Fit Tracker app. That's what I want to call it. With the core features, gave details here, borrowed from my friend Andre, of course. And then, some of the technical features, the gamification elements, the target audience, key differentiators. Also, I believe there's, kind of the app workflow. So I thought this was cool that he added this too, that a flow of what he would like this to look like in his, social discovery, onboarding, the daily usage, long-term engagement. I believe there's also stuff for metrics as well, workout tracking here for data and analytics. And I think he did a good job of breaking this down into different sections to then give that to Spark and Copilot behind the scenes, doing a lot of the work. Let's see what we have here so far on the code. We do have that PRD. So the PRD took a lot of the elements from our prompts here and created a really nice markdown file. Sorry that it keeps switching back as it creates the different files. It will kind of go back. It'll go to that new file. So that's one feature. That's one feedback that I would give, is like, stay on the document that I'm on, but it does it that way right now. And that's okay. We can wait till it's done and then really look through the PRD. But as you can see here, it gives a lot of the information that we provided to it in the prompt. I'm assuming it's okay. We'll get back to it. Assuming just, I don't know about you folks, but I'm in New England, and we're getting a really bad snowstorm here in the Northeast today. A lot of school closings. So that may be why we're having some internet issues, but or maybe unrelated. But I'm hoping my internet stays up through this. Let's see. Why did you add the line into the prompt? Is the current prompt not adequate? Oh no, the current prompt was adequate. Great question. I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more because I attached an image. So I kind of wanted to give some context around it. Again, like I said, context is so important. Um, so keep that in mind. I could have kept with the prompt that I wanted to. That would have been perfectly fine, but I decided to add an image. Andre didn't do that in his prompt, so that was a little extra that I added to mine. And that may happen, right? You may come up with something that you decide that you want to add on the fly besides the prompt that you had. I think it's awesome too that we could give a link to that markdown file or to files that we have available and save those prompts for later use. Oh, cool. You're in Massachusetts too. That's awesome to see. Yep. Enjoying the snow. Hopefully you're a skier. I'm not a skier, or say a snowboarder, I should say. Enjoy the beautiful winter weather that's starting here in New England and in the Northeast. The other thing too, that I'll say is you may want to add this to, like I added that image on the prompt. You may want to add certain files that will end up in the repo and part of the file structure. And this is where you could add those assets. I actually did this earlier today when I was playing around, just to see if it would add it to my my repository. So we're at now. Let's create. I also like how Copilot kind of gives you up-to-date information on what it's doing. It's breaking things down, and it's talking to you about different files that it's adding and why it's adding them and what it's working on. So you can look and browse through those files. As you can see, things keep getting updated for us. And right now we're in a read-only mode. You could have different display options too here on the right side. You could copy what's here that we wanted to copy the file contents. We still can't use these yet until our first iteration is done. Again, it does take minutes, especially for the first one. And we're also going to iterate on this as we go through this. That's why I wanted to leave enough time for us to create the app and then kind of do some iterations and maybe change some things, change some themes or colors, or maybe the starting point of the app. Who knows? We'll see where we go. But I think this shows you some of the advantages of someone that's never coded before being able to create an app. So let's say I was a lacrosse coach that wasn't working at GitHub or a developer in the community. I could take advantage of this and create my own app, share it with my teammate, my athletes, my student athletes, or maybe I want to share it with a fellow coach, or maybe the whole commission. I want to share it with them and show them what we've created, and maybe others want to use the same thing. So you can see like that the applications are kind of endless for people that don't code on a regular basis. And maybe at some point they do hand this off to someone who is a coder, and this allows that to happen with creating a repository from the code that you've generated here as the product manager persona. Or maybe you want to iterate in a code space and see what that's like, and use Copilot in the code space and learn how to code. So it gives you a lot of avenues and options to go down, and a lot of features at your fingertips. Looks like we finished our first iteration. So let's take a look at what we got. So just by typing that prompt, or say copy and pasting that prompt that I had written out, or I say borrowed from my friend Andre, who did an awesome job. You can choose your coach, your starting point. It used the different kind of the personas of the AI coaches that we had available, and also offered up a quote that coach may use. Can you post a link to Andre's original work? I can. The prompt that I put in there is pretty much the same. I think actually I can share with you. This was the app that he ended up creating. I'm not sure if he shared it to everyone, but I can give you. I don't know if hopefully Anna can share this with you. I can't seem to share or post.
All right.
It-
If you put it in the studio chat, I can share it out to the YouTube chat.
Okay, awesome. Let me do that. Studio. There we go. I'm going to just put it right there. So there's that. I'll also, I'm going to also share that blog again too, in case that was missed, but I think it might've got shared, but I'll put it in there as well. Thank you, Anna. All right. All right. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, this is the app that he created. So if you're able to get in and you have you should be able to see it. Again, if we go back to the app that we created, I'm gonna close this. Yeah, that blog, by the way, is about our day 3. So take a look at that. It's pretty amazing. We had a lot of people show up. We had some GitHub leadership were judges of that competition, which was pretty cool. Really gave some good feedback. We had winners, not only just an overall winner, but we had a winner for best design, best aesthetics, best functionality, like a whole bunch of different categories. We had a total of 3 categories and then an overall winner. And they got some cool prizes as a result of participating, which was great. But if we go back to the app, again, we have a nice little name at the top here. Also has links to you can get to your other Sparks here as well. So I'm just going to do some navigation to show you just the different features now that we finally got the app created. And then we'll iterate as we go. Again, this shows the UI. If you want to see side-by-side code and UI together, you can click this, why not both, which is pretty cool. Code only as well. If you wanted to see what the app would look like in a mobile, on a mobile device, that's what it would look like. So you could click that, unclick it. This just refreshes any previews as you iterate, and you maybe want to see those quicker. This is another thing where you can select an element and actually change some of the color. So instead of gray, maybe I want to make this orange. And boom, I was able to just do that by going to this, select the element to edit, and then come here to the theme and then make a change if I want. And we can always change it back as well. Maybe I just keep it gray. And that's fine too. You can also make a quick change here and prompt, maybe I want to say, make it brighter. And that will think and go through. So it's looking at the onboarding component for that specific element. And it made it a little bit brighter for us. So again, you can do things like that, with just target a certain part of the app if you want to do that. If we go down, right, this is the onboarding process. So we can click next and do something like that. We could do refreshes. Again, you can send feedback to while using, if there's something that you're seeing that maybe you'd like improvement on, or you'd like to see a feature, or maybe it's about models. You can send feedback to Spark-feedback without any issue. Again, you can create a code space, a repository. I'll get to the debug panel in a second. You can also, I already have one created with that name because I did this already before. So we could always change the name as well if we want. Here's where I said you could fall back to Claude Sonnet 4 if you wanted to, but the default is for 5. As I said, as we if we run into an issue where we're at capacity for that model, then it would fall back to Claude 4. But by default, we try to target 4 or 5 for that. In the future, that may change. That may be an auto model. I know auto is already available in our IDE and other pieces of the GitHub platform that we use for AI. There may be, for auto model or a selection of a subset of models. I'm sure at some point that could be a thing that we do. So that's good to know too, of improvements that we'll make. or possible improvements. I could see that. And maybe you want to send that feedback in. You could also just get rid of this side panel too if you don't want to have the iteration. Again, if you wanted to go to the theme of the app too as an overall, you could change the color theme here to something else. So let's see what else we have. Let's make it to neon noir. Let's see what we do there. And boom, just like that, we were able to change that theme, and our files will get updated accordingly as well. Add storage by asking the iterate panel, view and edit associated tables and data here. So we could also look at the current user in a nice little JSON file and make some changes if we wanted to as well. You know, add data that way and in this case, it's all the data that's coming from the current user, which is me, and putting in there, but you could, yeah, you can add data into that JSON file as well. If there's any questions too, as like before we iterate again, please feel free to come off mute. The other thing that you probably have here, well, actually I have here is debug panel. It's more for GitHub folks, so I'm not going to go into detail, but just gives us a way to get information out of the session that we're doing or iterating on. If we want to pull logs and things like that, I'm not going to go into that because it's really for internal folks at the moment. Thank you, Anna. Let's see. So I guess I'm kind of happy with the first iteration of my app here. I like the way that it looks. I like my theme. You know what I'm going to do too is I wanted to show you too of adding just to have it as an asset here in the app. It automatically, as I add assets here, maybe files that I'm interesting, maybe I want to add the prompt itself. I saved it I downloaded as a markdown file, and I wanted to add it here as a reference point too. Of someone may ask of, well, where did this originate from? And I can just embed that right here in the what will become our repository for our developers. I can just add it there as well. But you can upload files here, and as you see, it kind of showed up, and there's the file as well. So if we're happy with what we have to start with before we iterate, we can then publish that, and then we'll kind of talk about publishing. If you know what, I'm going to open this up. I could come up with my own iteration, but if someone wants to pop one in, I'll take a prompt or an iteration that we want to add maybe to the app that they may want to see for the next round as we iterate. So if there's any ideas or something you want to add to this beautiful Elevate workout tracker application, then please feel free to pop it in the chat, and I'll type that in our prompt here, our input window. If not, I can come up with my own too, but I kind of like to throw this out to the audience to see what they come up with as well. Unpublished changes. Interesting. Okay. Let's publish again. The other thing is, so right now this app is just visible to me. I can make this available to members of a select organization, whoever that might be, or I can make it available to all users, and I can maybe just give them read access for now. So let's publish that. And it gives kind of this URL here that you can then copy and paste and share with other folks. And now let's visit the site to see what it looks like. Again, it will authenticate me with my GitHub account, Spark, and just creating an issue in a new repository and assigning it to Copilot. Oh, great question. That is a really good question. So with Spark, you are really kind of guiding it. And instead of doing it in the normal pull request code development fashion in github.com or GitHub or in your IDE and pushing it to a GitHub repository, you're really doing this natural language from an interface that we give available to you. Now, you're also working with Copilot in this interface, in this GitHub Spark interface to iterate on that. In the case of where you are opening up an issue and assigning that issue to the coding agent, Copilot coding agent, or CCA, some people call it for short, that's a little bit different. I mean, obviously, Copilot's doing the work for you. Copilot is doing the work here, but you're very closely tied in this interface to start with to create your app. Once it becomes a repository, it doesn't close off there. You can come back into Spark and then use it in that fashion. I think the difference here is the target audience. Excuse me. In the case of you're a developer, you're assigning an issue. I bet there's folks in your organization who are non-technical, don't even know what that means, or don't know how to assign it to Copilot. What do I have to do that? This Spark interface eliminates all of that. It gives them a way to give context, give the prompt in a natural language and a nice interface for them to then use to start creating their app. And as I used before, my head coach, I'm an assistant coach. He would have no idea what a GitHub issue is, what Copilot is. And if I said, here's an interface, go write down what you think this app is, or write it down in a document and then give that to me. You cannot create a .NET app currently. It's really targeted towards React. So the stack is, I would say, with Spark right now, of what it creates off the bat is pretty locked down to that. But it gives you an idea, maybe if then you wanted to take that and dive into another stack, you could do that, of what that app might look like. Not to say that it may not accommodate .NET in the future, but right now we do not support that. Really great question, though, on the stack of what we're using. As you can see, it really kind of goes to the TypeScript and the React front end. So this is our app. I don't know if anyone offered up any ideas. If not, that's okay. We can go through. We can also kind of play around with, let's choose Mona. We'll go next. Sure, we'll stick with that schedule. What's my goals? I want to build muscle. I'm intermediate experience level. It also, this is pretty cool too, given the prompt that Andre provided us with, gives us different apparatuses and things that we want to use. So we want to stick with a barbell. We want to stick with dumbbells and dumbbells and body weight. And or maybe we want to use cable machines. We want to do kettlebell workouts. So that's something we could do too. And then we can start our training. We could select the targeted muscles. So let's say we're interested in chest and shoulders. Sure, why not back, lower back, and we'll say forearms. And we can start our workout. So it gives us some different workouts that apply to those muscle groups. We'll say we can do that, how many reps we're going to do. We can also go to our profile. It has my nice little user. So it automatically put my little avatar that I have for my GitHub account in here as the avatar. It has my coach, my day streak as I work through this, how many days a week, which we selected 3, the available equipment we want to use. So it gives some of those fitness goals. It also gives like different levels of badges and things like that to motivate folks. If we wanted to create a team or join a team, we could do that. And this is basically what you can play around with in your app. And Spark, if the users, yeah, let's give that a shot. Sure. That's a great one. Let's create an architectural diagram of our application. And I don't think we even need to add it. I bet it'll add it automatically. Let's go there now. That's a great question. I think it's a great iteration too. I had another one that was not as good as yours. So thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, it's going to create an interactive architectural diagram component. Maybe we need to be more specific. The other cool thing that you'll see along here, as you make changes, you may find that you want to revert to a version of the app, or you want to go back to something you liked better than the change that you made. You can go to these. Obviously, we're iterating right now, but if this was not running, you could restore to those different points. So it has this nice little kind of timeline of the changes that you've made and getting back to those. Let's see what it came up with here. Still working. I might rephrase that. I may actually ask it to create me a mermaid diagram to add along with the PRD. And again, if we don't like something, we can revert. Let's see what it did. Oh, it added it right here. All right, I'm going to actually revert that, restore to this point. Boom, we went right back to where we were. I'm going to change that. Create me a mermaid diagram to add with the PRD. I'm going to say architecture diagram of the app. So this is cool too, right? It's examining the existing components and going to create hopefully, and add it to the PRD itself, which is even better, I think. So to answer your question, yes, we can do that. But let's see what we have here on the iteration. Let's see if it's adding it. It looks like it's working on it. So we'll just give it, I'm going to actually just bring up the code because it'd be easier to see that way. I wish I could preview this. Let's see. I don't think it's going to show it there. Let's see if we could. Yeah, what I'll do for now is I'll go to our. I'll edit this. Spark PRD example. And let's see what that looks like. I guess we need, interesting, maybe it wasn't done. It is complete. I think we need to actually call it out. Oh, it says mermaid. I'm surprised it's not visualizing here, or maybe once I, let's see, that's the preview. Wait. Let's see what we get. If I update this, will it show me? There we go. Just needed to save it. So here you go. Here's an architectural diagram of the app. Just want to put the PRD example. I'll leave this here though. I think this is kind of cool. Obviously you could zoom in. It's got a lot of the components and stuff. May want to make this larger, and you can always mess around with that. But yeah, great question. I know we have about 9 minutes left. If there's any other questions I can answer before we iterate again, I'm happy to do that. I'll iterate though while someone asks a question. I can do something else. Let's add the ability to change my profile image and upload a file. I'm going to take how is the handling data? Can you change AWS or Azure SQL after creation? Right now, you cannot do that. It's hosting that app in Azure automatically. I can get more details on the back end. I can update the overview with some of that, but it's using Azure. We don't support AWS right now. Obviously, you could take the code that's generated here and then add it to your own cloud if you wanted to. This is more ability to host the app so someone can see what your idea is. Maybe as developers made changes, you could also visualize those real easily. And then this would maybe be like your kind of like your sandbox or your development version of the app. And then you could always obviously push it out to a cloud of your choice or whatever backend of that cloud that you may want to use it in. But great question. And let me see. Files. I'm going to take this one and all right. So let's see what we did here. Profile tab. So now if we go to our app, I'm going to make this full screen. I don't know the answer to that. I think you could probably add it as part of your once you create the repository. So once we're happy, which we'll do in the next session. I won't get into DAST and SAST, but you could add it to your repository as part of the pipeline of verifying your application before changes are made from the GitHub side. So you could do it from there. A person that's a product manager probably wouldn't even know what that is or how to go about doing that. So we don't automatically do that. I did say, like, since this is running on Azure, in the overview, you do have kind of the guardrails and security that's part of what you've published as an app so that it can't be exploited. So you do have that. But before publishing, I would recommend that that's part of your PR verification process or maybe release process of your app, is that those are maybe the changes you want to make. Let's for GitHub Spark to connect it to an AI agent. For example, I have an agent that can generate a prompt and it will interface to this GitHub Spark to generate a prototype on the fly. That's not supported right now. I think that's a great idea, especially if you want to automate that process and you have an agent, a custom agent. Maybe that will be the feature that gets added in the future to Spark. But great idea. Maybe that's feedback you want to send to the Spark team through that link. Right now we do not we do not support that per se. I don't know if there's a way for your AI agent to go to the UI and do that. I would doubt it, especially since you need a GitHub account, but I'm sure that's something that is a great idea for the future, especially as we release the GitHub Universe custom agents. Maybe that's an agent that you want to develop to create apps of a certain type, certain consistency. Maybe that agent has custom instructions and prompts that you want to use to create that app. those are some examples of ideas that you could use that for. So I think that would be a great addition. Got about 5 minutes left. I did want to verify that we already did this. I'm just kind of walk through. I just want to get to, so if we go to profile, let's see if we have it. Oh, cool. I want to upload a file. I can do that now. So I just added that feature. I'm going to put this nice, cool picture of me. It's got to be less than a certain size. My picture is too big. But you get the gist there. There's a picture of me at headquarters in the nice little GitHub room that we have there. I could also, I'll get a different image, or you know what? I'll just use Copilot. The Copilot image is fine. I could use the image URL too. I didn't even ask for that, and it did that. But maybe I'll just use the Copilot. And I saved it. What to develop that app in? It automatically has a stack. I don't have any promo codes for you, sorry. But it's automatically defaulting to a stack that it knows that it's going to be easier to create the app in. So React and TypeScript is what it defaults to. I guess we could ask, what other stack options does Spark offer us? Hopefully it doesn't add that to the app, but we'll see what it does. I think it's a good question. I think there is other stacks you could maybe request, or say, like, if you have another name of a stack, you could do that. So if maybe there's a Python, the session is part of a series. So yeah, next session, join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I know by saying that I'm dating myself. Hopefully some people got that reference. Or as Dr. Dre would say, the next episode, we'll go into more development stuff. But I think in your in your prompt, like I did, that I showed, you could say, like, I prefer this stack. And I think for the most part, if it's open and it's available, not like the .NET stack, you could develop an app in a different stack, like maybe using Python and React or something else instead of TypeScript, or maybe you want it to be JavaScript. You could do that. I know by default, it's going to go to this React and TypeScript by default, just to let you folks know. Have a couple minutes left. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer. You guys feel free to. I'll publish this, and then I'll publish it again. And in the chat, I'll give you the link to the app. I will keep this around for past our next session. But this is the URL for that app, in case you guys wanted to see what it looks like after the session. By all means, do that. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Sure. Can you preview in the mobile in the browser? I don't believe so. I believe this is just in the preview within Spark. You can't really do that here because it's just showing that it's just a direct link to the app. So it's only going to give you that in here, unfortunately. Good question, though. Yeah, thank you guys for your questions. It really helped drive the conversation, stuff that I didn't even think about. So I love the architectural diagram. Like that's just awesome. That's a great thing to add to your PRD. I'm sure a lot of folks maybe forget that. Maybe that's something that becomes a default as part of the iteration on Spark. As part of the PRD, they create a architectural diagram of the app that you've created. I think that would be a great feature too. So I'll talk to product marketing about that, but really great stuff. Thank you so much for taking the time. Please join us next week. We're going to get into more development of this app. I am going to create a repository from it, and also we'll develop in the code space. So thank you so much for your time. You guys enjoy the rest of your your day, your evening, wherever you are in the world. And yeah, please take the survey. And again, all the best. And I'll see you again next week. Take care.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. This session is part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you at the next one.